Welcome to Finance Magnates Executive Interviews once more. I'm sitting at FMLS 24 with Adam Saward, Managing Director at EC Markets UK. Thank you, Adam, for joining me today for this interview.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
We're very happy to have you here, especially somebody with your experience. I mean, you have been around 20 years in the industry in multiple positions, right? You've been from sales to trading, management. What's that like?
I've been very fortunate actually. Started off at E-Trade, which was an amazing place to cut your teeth. I worked through a lot of divisions there. They were probably one of the first CFD brokers that really put to retail at that point. That was early 2000s. And so, as I said, very fortunate to be able to build through that kind of industry, working in all the different departments, customer support, trading, a bit of risk management, and then into management as well. And then since then I've moved into retail, institutional. I've worked for a big clearing bank, I've set up prime brokerage. So the way that I see it is that I've been fortunate in all of those roles, but I'm now looking to kind of impart that knowledge and experience onto the team that are at EC Markets. What I'm hoping is that I've seen what to do, but also what not to do, which is probably the more important part. And with that, I'm hoping that as we're building the teams, I'll be able to guide them with all the experience, the mistakes I may have made or may have seen, and then be able to push the team on to the kind of products and services that we're looking at building.
And it's quite interesting, EC Markets as your next step. I mean, EC Markets is not a new brand to the industry, but it is fairly new to having this kind of visibility and exposure that it's looking for now. And it's a bit strange, if I may ask, a lot of brokers are moving away from the UK in terms of licensing and regulation, especially since Brexit. We have seen that trend, but EC Market seems to be going against that. Tell us a little bit about it. Where does that come from?
I like that. So I've been asked that a few times recently, and I like the question because it allows me to define what we're trying to do. Where the FCA and regulation has kind of pushed some of the brokers to a point where they maybe feel that they're not comfortable to be able to be in this industry in the UK and service the business that they were trying to service. It's a shame a lot of these brokers have given up their retail licenses and retail permissions of late as well. But I like that for that reason. A lot of people have left the market. I still think the UK is underserviced. I still think that the retail clients, they have options, but I think they have options in certain areas. Some of the options are good, but I don't think the full option of any one of the brokers that are offering is maybe everything that a client needs. And so I've spotted a few gaps, and I think that we can maybe fill those in. And like I said, by building the team, the products, a really big thing is customer support. I've been lucky enough to manage a few customer service teams, and I've always seen that as such a big differentiator, especially in this market. Everyone's pricing's the same, the trading platforms seem to be the same, although I'll touch on that maybe later when we talk about tech. So you need that real differentiator, and I think that customer service, it's often talked about and it's leaned on a lot, but maybe it's leaned on with not so much substance behind it. And the way that I view it is that we want to be able to run metrics on all of our customer support, and then maybe put that forward on our website and actually publish what we're doing, the fact that we do respond to clients in X number of minutes and that. So I'm hoping to kind of change the way that the metrics are put forward so that people can actually see if you're any good at customer service.
Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit where you see the opportunity in the market for you guys to come into the UK.
I think so. I think there are a number of opportunities. Customer service could be increased. I think if you look in the US, it's quite a saturated market in certain areas, especially stocks. Grandparents are handing their grandchildren stock certificates, or maybe opening a junior account for them in the US at Christmas, and they're giving them that as a present. In the UK, I still don't think the market's saturated at all. I think there's a lot of room for others to be able to build out in it across a number of products. And I think that the UK's clients are very sophisticated, and they need more than just FX. So that's also what I'm trying to build out.
Very cool. And from what you're saying, it sounds like you guys are expanding. You're having a lot of new teams and growing in terms of people.
We are. So The UK has been there, and I don't like to use the word placeholder, but it's been there. We've had the license for a while. We've been kind of trying to build the business before, from what I understand, before I started. We've been trying to build the business in a certain way, and I'm coming along to change it, make it very retail focused, bring customer service in. Technology is going to be a big part in that as well. And you do see quite a lot of brokers that have an FCA license that maybe haven't utilised it, as I said, giving up retail commissions. And I think it's a great opportunity for us. So in terms of your question of expansion, the UK's got a really skilled workforce. I think customer service is fantastic in certain areas in terms of the talent pool that we've got. And so I'm looking at, crossing across industries to bring in people that are really hot on customer service, where I think this industry could maybe learn a bit.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned technology already, I think like 3 times, so I have to ask about it. You seem quite passionate. And I think that, in this industry, technology is a big thing. We're, after all, in the fintech industry.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something very interesting to me, which was data and the metrics and the measurement. Because for us as finance marketers, this is a huge focus for us. It's what we do, right? We want knowledge. We want that data, those numbers, to be able to provide trust, credibility, and reliability to the industry. So how are you marrying the both? Like, I can see that you're going in that direction, but tell me a little bit more about it.
I think we're lucky, or I'm lucky, stepping into this position where I can look at the complete technology stack and say, okay, we can start with X, Y, and Z now, because we're small enough to be able to do that. We can build all of our technology from the ground up. Rather than me going into a well-established broker where moving that technology aside and implementing other tech would be a lot harder, I'm lucky in that I can dive straight in. AI is probably going to be bigger than the advent of the internet, in my opinion. I think it's going to be absolutely huge. We're already seeing it's taking over almost everything that people do in their day-to-day lives, the amount of data that's being consumed. Some people don't realise what AI is, and sometimes people are using AI as a buzzword when it's just a glorified Excel spreadsheet. So we are looking into actual AI implementation. One idea we've got is building out a compliance chatbot internally. So what we're looking at doing is putting a lot of the information, regulatory documentation, all within the chatbot, and have it as a place for our staff to be able to reference immediately, rather than having a bottleneck of going through compliance, using almost like a chat GPT style, but created just for us. So yeah, technology in terms of the platform that we're going to build for trading, the interaction with clients, the client journey overall, having all that data and the metrics that you mentioned that you like, but being able to use those metrics, not just having them, but using them specifically to be able to improve the customer journey and the products in turn that we offer.
Is this one of the main objectives that you have in the next 12 months?
Yes. So we probably look for the next 6 months. I'm going to sit down with the team. We will still be expanding and bringing people in gradually, but the technology stack, building the trading platform, the compliance platform internally that I mentioned, even for clients, consuming our website and creating a chatbot that is really interactive with large language model information and landscape behind us. We're in a good spot to be able to build out. I think that I'm going to probably get about half of what I really want to get done in a year, but
Don't we all, right?
There is a huge amount on my list, and it's about prioritizing. But technology is going to be what we're really built on. The technology and building out the client journey is huge.
So how does the UK fit exactly strategically within the plans that you have for the next
good
few
question.
years?
So like I said, everyone that I've known that was in the UK, most of them have kind of moved offshore, and that's where the business has gone. There's a lot of business in Asia, and there's a lot of business over in UAE as well. LATAM's another big area, and that's where we're looking to expand in as a group further. But the UK, I think, is still, in my opinion, still the financial centre of the world, really, in terms of our industry and what we can do with CFDs, FX, equities, options, etc. So we fit in that. The FCA is obviously a very strict regulator. It's very well regarded in the industry. So for us, it's important that we don't sit behind just having it. but that we have a very strong product with it. So what we're looking at doing is obviously building out the UK, and in turn, all of the groups that we have will be able to look to the FCA and say, okay, they have an FCA license, they're obviously doing things to a certain standard, and some of the offshores that people have gone to maybe don't quite have that regulation level or those standards. So what helps us is that this is where the group and everyone else can lean upon.
Right.
So that's kind of where we sit, in that we're going to build out, not just in terms of regulations, but we're going to be building out some other products. And we'll use the UK as a testing ground, because I think that's where it's going to work very well. I actually think once it does work well, we'll be able to roll that out to the group as well. So hopefully a little bit more of a technology centre, as well as a centre of kind of excellence for the regulations and stuff.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, because for us, you know, this is the 13th year that we do the FMLS. So London, even after Brexit, doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And maybe a little bit more consolidated in terms of players.
Yeah.
And we do see a trend as well. I share your opinion on you know, the standards of the FCA and how it pushes all the players in the market to actually keep higher level of standards.
Exactly.
And that reflects on how the brokers are operating worldwide. So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can't disagree. I like your wording in that most people, I think, do regard the FCA as one of the highest regulations, and it is that for a reason. There is a large amount of governance and diligence that we have to run by, and I think it is steadily creeping out. You know, the margin changes that we saw with MiFID II, Australia ended up adopting, and I think other areas will as well. And I think it's for the good. I think where you said consolidation of companies, I think we still see more of that as well.
I mean, that said, the industry is continuously changing. So I know FCA keeps adjusting and adapting, and there is all of these new products and assets that come out into the market that are going to be scrutinized as well by different regulators. And you know, it's an interesting world, the one that we live in, because the industry is it's the only actual continuous thing. The only certainty is that everything is always changing.
Yes.
And this is where we live in. So you know, the different players in the industry, when we come together to places like London and other financial hubs in the world, like in the other events that we have done, Sydney and Cyprus and Dubai, etc. There is all these conversations that take place also with the regulators locally, so that we take the industry forward within all these changes that are happening, because regulation always tends to be lagging behind a little bit from everything that is going on and all the new stuff coming out. And it's always best to, I think, for players such as EC Markets and many other highly regulated entities, is to, you know, take a look at everything that is new, find what can be the weak spots, and do it as if it was regulated already, for example.
Yep, I like that. And whilst doing all of that at the same time, looking at some of the base products that you know work, they've stood the test of time, exchange traded type products that you know can be the bedrock of the business. So you can look at the technology, you can look at the new products. I'm an early adopter of most things normally, within reason and within research. But having maybe an exchange traded base, I think, is quite a good way to look at it, because ultimately the UK is one of the homes of the stock market, along with the US, which obviously is a bit harder for client acquisition, which is why nobody outside the US really goes there, which is why I say within our sector, London is the centre. So having something like exchange traded products like equities and options, I think, is something that people will probably end up moving into as well. But you're right, there's a lot of new products coming in. They will get scrutinised, some of them. Some will stick, some will disappear. And that's the fun of the industry that we're in, I think.
It is, isn't it? So what are you finding more interesting so far at the event?
Today, having this interview, I was looking to prepare for it. I got here maybe an hour before, and I've probably had about 15 talks beforehand.
Good.
Everyone's interested in what we're looking at doing in the UK. Again, one of your first questions is, why are we looking at expanding here? And I love that everyone's asking it, because they're not looking at the benefits.
Because you're going against the trend, so it's very interesting.
And I want to kind of keep that a bit to myself in terms of what we're doing, because it's going to take a while to be able to build it properly. and I don't want other people to kind of have the same kind of feeling as me yet, because I'd like to get what we're looking at doing out first, and then hopefully we could be a leader in that kind of section. So.
Thank you for trusting us to have this interview and share your opinion with us.
Yeah, no problem.
It's been very interesting, very insightful.
Thank
Adam,
you.
good luck
Thank
for the
you,
rest
Andrew.
of the interview, for the rest of the events.
Yes, I'll need it. It's
And
going
I
to be
look
busy.
forward to seeing you the rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.